So, let's talk about how you assign your skills and traits and stuff and put them on the hotbar. If you go to actions and traits and choose one of the categories, let's say general, and let's say sprint, which is a very useful one. Say you wanted to put sprint on your hotbar somewhere. If you press X on, if you press square on that, it'll ask you which, tells you there, press a button combination to assign it to an action. So all you do, if you want to put it on any of the hotbars here, is you will select L2 or R2 and the corresponding button, whether it's a cursor key or the buttons on the right, the triangle, square, X and circle. And so, for instance, if I wanted to put it on the right hand side and top cursor key, there, did you see its change over? There you go. So very, very simple to do that. That's how you assign it to the hotbar. If you want to assign it to the other hotbar, you just press R1 and repeat the same process. But how do you select this bar? Well, this is another way of selecting hotbars. So what we would do is we'd hold down R1 and you can see it says change set at the top. Now the third hotbar is technically number 4, so what we'd do is we'd hold down R1 and press square and it will bring it up, and you can assign traits on the left hand side as I have done there, any combination that you wish. Note that if you assign ones to the right hand side, they won't show up, so don't bother putting any on the right hand side, just the left hand side. And when you've finished, press R1 and you'll come back to your 2 hotbars here and this one here. Fine. Just a note, when you're starting off in the lower levels, you might only have one of those hotbars working from these 2. So don't worry, the other one will come available later on, but this one will be available. So that's how you put your traits on the hotbars, but how do you pretty much decide what's going where? Well, this is where things get a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to try and do it in a fairly general way that really relates to all of the character classes, and this is to do mainly with actions and your job skills first. So what you would really want to do is you want to read every single action and job role that you get as you level up. So this is very important. I suggest that you level up from level 1 and work your way all the way through the game if you're a beginner. There is now a facility to jump to level 60 or even level, I think it's level 50 or level 60 with things that you can buy on the Final Fantasy store. I don't suggest that you do that as a beginner. As a beginner, go through the character creation process, follow what I'm saying, and go from level 1 all the way through. The reason for that is you can take your time to really learn how that skill works. And also, as you level up, you'll be able to place it in a place that makes sense. But generally speaking, here's an overview of how I approach it. Because I am right-handed, this makes sense to me. If you were left-handed, you'd probably want to reverse what I'm saying. So on the first hotbar, which is possibly the most important, the one that's easiest to get to, I use the L2 trigger quite a lot, and you'll see that on the right, the groups of 4, like 2 crosses, groups of 4. So on the right hand side of this selection, I put my main attacking skills, the ones that have relatively what we call a cooldown, the time that it takes for you to be able to reuse that skill. I have those skills that are used more quickly around the triangle, the square, the X and the circle. Another consideration for those is also that most character classes, as they get higher up, have combinations. You'll read that in the skills. So when you do one skill, if you combine that with another skill, you get extra bonuses or more damage. So it'll make sense to put the most commonly used combinations around those there on that right hand side of the L2 selection. On the left hand side of the L2, I have various skills that are used less frequently perhaps, but are still extremely important. They might have a longer cooldown, or they might be what we call area of effect skills. Now, area of effect I will cover more in the next video when I talk about combat a bit more, but I've placed them there. On the right hand side I have additional skills on the button, the shape buttons on the right hand side there on the R2, but on the left hand side of the R2 I have two additional ones that are combination spells, but you'll see that two of them, the running one that I placed there earlier on, and the one that looks like a body there, a limited body, those are healing spells. And what I normally do, and I suggest you do as a beginner, straight from the beginning, is if you go to your inventory, you'll have potions that heal you. So what you can do with anything in your inventory that is consumable is you can press the square button and it has an option set to hotbar. And I suggest that you have potions on your primary hotbar there. Sorry, primary hotbar. I don't know why I switched it over. Oh yes, I do. I know I just set the hotbar this one. So it's easy to hand, because that's going to be really useful to you when you're damaged a lot and panicking, because a lot of the solo play you don't have healers around, so you have to try and ensure that you can stay alive. So that's where I'll place the potions there. That's just a little tip. And you might want to put around that area sprint or whatever you feels comfortable. Generally, you're going to, through play, extended play, learn what feels more natural to you in terms of how those skills are on the hotbar and how easy that is to access from the controller. And generally you want the ones you use the most more easily accessible than the ones you don't use so much. And the ones you don't use so much, put in a more more difficult or a little bit trickier to get to. Remember, this L2 and R2 is a lifesaver, because that's just a very quick change, and there you go. You don't even, it's all hand with the cursor and the the shape buttons. Fantastic. So, and you'll have another bar where you could put things like emoticons and things like that, which you'll find under social, which you'll discover as you play the game in more depth. Anyway, that's a lot to cover, so it may not have simplified it enough really for you to really understand what I'm saying, but it'll become more self-evident as you progress up. But that's how to set up that third hotbar and these two hotbars. You really don't want more than two hotbars on the R1 button, because if you have three, you'll be clicking 3 times. You just want to have one like that, very quick change if you need to. But hopefully with just the first set and the L2 and R2 buttons, that should be sufficient for the majority of skills and traits that you want to use. Well, that's it for this video. In the next video I'm going to show you how that works in practice and go over combat, basic combat skills and area of effect, which is very important to learn. So thank you very much for your time. Ciao for now.